This is going to be the last time you launch without a game plan. Because let's be real, if you've been launching or attempting to launch with no structure, no real strategy, and no consistency, you're setting yourself up to fail. So here's what we're gonna do instead. I am going to walk you through step by step how to create a launch guide that makes launching easy, predictable, and profitable. If you are at your laptop or your phone, definitely pull up a notes app because you're gonna make sure that you write down everything that we talk about today because we are changing the way that you launch forever. I literally was just talking with someone this past week who lucked up and made $85,000 her first year. However, every year after that, her sales began to plummet, and last year she made less than $10,000. Now, you're probably like, what the heck happened? Why didn't she continue to make more and more each year? Well, after talking to her, she admitted that the first time that she launched, she had no launch strategy. She didn't have a solid brand at all. She was really just out here winging it. And she thought that the success that she saw at first would have continued. And if you're anything like her, you probably have been winging it too. You've either been binging a whole bunch of videos and getting overwhelmed with all of the information out there that you haven't launched yet because you haven't had a strategic blueprint on how to do so. Or you're just like her, where you launched, you had no strategy, you didn't take the time to build an actual brand, and you may have saw some success or you may have flopped from the get-go. But right now, you're seeing that whatever you did is not sustainable and you need something that you can rinse and repeat so that way you can scale your revenue up and continue to actually see money rolling in. Drop a comment below if you have been winging it, or drop a comment below if you have been inside of information paralysis, because I want to know exactly who you are that's watching this. And one thing that she did say is that she wished that she had a coach or a mentor, somebody to truly guide her at the beginning so that way she wouldn't have made these mistakes. And now more than ever, she knows that having the right person give her strategic guidance is going to be a game changer for her to get her back to $85,000 or to just get her past that period because she wants to be able to have a fundamental launch strategy that works for her every time so she can make it to six figures. And today, I am going to be your coach. I am going to be your mentor. I am going to be your guide. Today, together, we would be building your launch strategy so that way you can launch a profitable and successful brand. And just in case you see me looking down, I had to have my iPad for this because consider this your official coaching session. I got notes that I want to make sure that I remember so that way you can get everything that you need to create this launch guide today. Today, I need you to have two specific things. You need to have coda.io. I'm going to leave a link to this in my description box, but coda.io to me is like Notion times 10. I'm a visual person and I low-key have a little attention issue. So if you're like me and you need visuals, you want something that's super interactive and engaging, and maybe Notion, you tried it out and it's not for you, same. Coda is gonna be your girl, okay? So we're gonna be using Coda today for all of our brainstorming and all the things. And I'll show you a little bit later what it looks like. The second thing that we're gonna use today is we're gonna use spreadsheets. More specifically, Google Sheets, because tracking your numbers equal tracking your money, and being organized means that you can have a better chance at success. So let's get into it. Before we actually tap into the launch guide itself, I have to be clear that if you do not have a bulletproof brand, you do not have a successful business. And since we're talking about launching today, if your brand is not solid, your launch isn't going to work. And so the first thing that we're going to do together is develop your brand foundations. Now, I believe that a brand has 7 fundamental bricks, but I don't want to go super deep into all of that today, so I'm going to simplify it for you. You need to know who you're selling to, what you're selling, why it matters, and how it changes their life. You want to take the answers to each 4 of these pillars and write a full statement explaining these. This then becomes your brand positioning statement. After you've created this brand positioning statement, you can actually use this to develop what I like to call your brand's unique edge. Now, if you hear anybody else saying that, They got it from me. Because in the corporate marketing world, this is called your unique value proposition. It is what makes your brand different than others in your industry. Because what you'll come to find out is that there may be another brand out there who's targeting your who. They're targeting the exact audience that you are after, or similar audience. There may be another brand who is doing the what similar to your brand, where they're providing a similar solution. There may be a brand that is doing it how your brand is doing it. And that how is how it impacts your audience's lives. So it may be a brand that's impacting your audience in a similar way. Or the rarest case is that there may be a brand who has a similar why. They have a similar story, although each person and each company technically can't have the same exact story. We have to admit that, like, when we watch certain shows and movies, sometimes they have the same plot. And so your brand story may have a similar plot to another brand. And so when you develop your unique edge, aka the corporate term UVP, your unique value proposition, that helps you know exactly how you stand out. And once you know these things, and once you have a full description of your target audience, you are able to combine these two together to create the pillars of your brand, those foundational bricks, such as your messaging, your PMV statements, which stands for purpose, mission, and values, your visuals, all of the things, right? And so the core thing that I want you to do here is I need you to write down your brand story. I need you to develop your target audience's persona, and I need you to write down your positioning statement. Now, here's a little cheat code. Your target audience should be a full-blown persona profile. You want to think about your target audience as if they were one specific person with a name. So if that's Barbara, who is Barbara? Does she have kids? What job does she work? What does she do in her free time? What shows does she watch? All the things. You want to think about her like a specific person. And I create a full-blown multi-page persona on my target, which is why I call it a bullseye, right? And so inside of any of my programs, I walk you through how to do this. More specifically, inside of the Ultimate Launch program, I walk my students through doing this step by step so that they can have a full persona. But if you're not in that program, you can actually check out the Brands Brick mini class that I have. I put it together for you and I'll link it in the description box. I break down the 7 brand bricks so that way you can get super clear on what those things are. Now that we have your brand foundations, we need to get clear on what your launch goals are, because launching without the right launch goals is going to have you falling flat on your face. And so the 3 types of goals that you need to set are sales goals. What do you want to make? How should you make it? The second is going to be your engagement goals. How are you warming up your audience? What things are you doing to keep them engaged? What things are you measuring to test the engagement? And then 3, you're going to have your experience goals. So what's the vibe of this launch? How are your customers feeling? How is your audience feeling before they actually buy from you? What experience are you actually putting out there? And more specifically, how will you measure this? Now, most people set vague goals like, I want to sell out. I want to make a lot of money. But what does that even mean? You want to make sure that your goals are specific and measurable. And when I say specific, I'm talking having a specific number attached to a specific how. Another thing is you need to make sure that they're trackable. Now, one thing that I like to do is I like to break down my goals using a GST method. I have a video where I go in detail about this, so I'll link it on the screen. Definitely check it out. And in that video, I even talk about the types of goals that you can set within each of the 3 areas. But today, because we're talking about launching and because I am helping you create a blueprint, these goals need to be trackable. There are 3 ways that you can make trackable goals. So you can either create, curate, or collect data. And so you're probably like, hey, Chanel, wait, what? Trackable goals equate to data? Well, data is going to be your best friend when you're launching. Why? Because numbers do not lie. And one of the cheat codes to having a successful launch is to use what the industry has already said has worked before. So when it comes to collecting data, this is where you track numbers that are already being tracked for you. This can be your engagement on Instagram, it's already tracked. Or how many email subscribers you have, it's already tracked within the platform you use. Or you can curate. Curate is when you use third-party research like Pew Research or any of those research institutes to collect data that they have already done for you. Create it is where you create ways to make your efforts trackable, whether that's by creating a trackable link, creating a trackable code, creating some type of equation that computes it on your spreadsheet. You want to do that. Now, speaking of a spreadsheet, I believe in writing down your goals and then measuring your goals as you are moving forward with your launch. And even after you've launched, you want to track your goals for the remaining of your first year. And so to do this, I use a spreadsheet on Google Sheets where I will break down my goals in each of those 3 areas. So that's exactly what you're going to do. We're going to break down our goals in each 3 areas: engagement, sales, experience. And then we are going to make sure that we have a quantifiable element that we can measure. And then as we move throughout our launch phases, and even after we've launched throughout our first full year, we are going to always update this spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet should be split up into the 4 quarters because that is how businesses operate. We operate off of 4 quarters, whereas Q1 is 3 months, Q2 is another 3 months, so on and so forth. So you are going to use this to track your goals. And for every launch, you need to do this. Whether it's a new product, new collection, you need to do this. I teach my students inside of ULP how to forecast certain numbers like your sales, so how to predict that, also how to predict your growth rate and so on and so forth. And so we do that in super detail, but I am going to help you with some basic setup. So go ahead and write down your target revenue, engagement, and experience goals inside of your Coda doc. And if you want to get super on point with your goals, if you want to make sure that you are hitting the mark, I actually have a goal tracker that I created, and it's within my 6-figure launch planner that I sell on HBU's site. So I'm going to link that 6-figure goal tracker or that 6-figure planner that has the goal tracker in it, so that way you can grab that. Inside of the 6-figure launch planner, I have a content planner. I have a area for you to check off as you are developing your product, as you are preparing for your launch. There's a checklist in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's a multi-tab spreadsheet, so definitely go grab it. If you need to get organized with your launches, go grab it. And it's literally only like $30 something or something. So definitely go grab it because that is going to change the game for how you launch. This is scaring the heck out of me. Okay. Now, listen up clearly because we are going to need to prioritize our goals. We don't want to set goals and then put them to the side and never look at them again. And I am guilty of this too. There's been times where I have spent hours, sometimes even days, mapping out my goals and brainstorming exactly what strategy I'm going to use. And then I've closed the notebook and haven't looked at it again. Do not do this. You want to prioritize your goals. And I get it. When you are launching something new, whether it's a new brand, a new collection, a new product, you are basically trying to figure out how you can fit that into your current everyday. And because it's something new and it's something different and it doesn't fit into your typical routine, your brain is wired to do what's comfortable. And so you'll begin to shut this out and you won't actually do the things that move the needle that will get you to that goal. And then that gets you farther away from the goal than you've ever imagined. And eventually you've either forgotten about it or you've given up hope on it. That is not going to be you because we are going to prioritize our goals. More specifically, I want you to create a commitment letter. This is going to be something that you sign where you are committing to see it through. And with this commitment letter, you are going to create a milestone action plan where you are going to track your progress toward that goal and you're going to track the time that you spend so that way you know that you are moving closer to the goal. This is something that I do. I use an app called Structured. I also use Motion with an M to track my tasks and to make sure that I set my goals, specifically my launch goals, as top priority. those campaigns are top priority for me. And so my energy and my time needs to go there. And I get it that sometimes family can be pulling us in one way, work can be pulling us in another way. But one thing that I did, especially when I was still working my 9 to 5, is that action plan with the milestones was like my holy grail. I was so serious about it. If I said by week 5, I wanted to do something, by week 5, I was doing that thing. And another thing too is because I prioritized launching my shoe boutique or even launching the brand Hustler, I would get off of my 9 to 5. I would make something real quick to eat for me and my then boyfriend. And then I would shower and everything, hop on the couch and get tons of work done for my business. And sometimes I'm staying up until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. And then here's the gag. At my job, on my lunch break, I worked on my business. If things were slow at work, I worked on my business. I would even go sometimes and stay early or stay late so that way I could work on my business because that was top priority. Everything played second fiddle to the fact that I was launching this new brand. And that is what we need to make sure that we are doing for this launch guide that I'm giving you to work. You have to prioritize your goals. Inside of ULP, I actually have a commitment letter that all of my students sign, and some of our most successful students stayed the course because they printed out their commitment letter, they framed it, and they looked at it every single day. Those are the people who went on to make thousands of dollars the night that they launched, sell hundreds of products within a month or two, and even sell out of their launches. So trust me, it works. Now, let's get into this launch system. This is where most people get overwhelmed, but I'm gonna simplify it for you. So here's how we're gonna do this. Instead of giving you a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo, we're actually gonna build this bad boy together. First, I have to explain that a launch isn't just about announcing the new thing. It's about guiding people toward the sale. So most people will do things like make a random post, show up on the day of launch, and expect that they're going to see results. Some people will even say, oh, well, I tried to build an email list. And when I asked how they tried, the tactics that they used weren't strategic at all. So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to have a phase where we create demand. In this phase, we are going to need to create content pillars, a content calendar, and a pre-launch email strategy. So for content pillars, you need to make sure that you're planning content in a way that makes your audience ready to buy. These content pillars are built off of your brand foundations that you should have already developed. Now, see why brand plays a big part in this? Because your content pillars technically should give off the same energy, the same experience, the same messaging, the same tone as your brand. These also need to be pillars that will make your audience want to learn more, want to shop with you. I recommend having about 3 to 5 content pillars to start off with so that it's not overwhelming, but it's enough to create variety in your content. Now, your content calendar, you need to have at least 4 weeks of pre-launch content planned. If you want to do what I call a 60-day pre-launch period, you want to have 8 weeks worth of content, with 4 of those weeks being relatable lifestyle content. Relatable lifestyle content is like vlogging your process of launching, whether that's on YouTube or TikTok, that type of thing, so that way you can create something that's relatable. Or depending on what your audience is and what it is that you are selling, you may want to create relatable content around that thing. Now, when it comes to your content calendar for your launch, you need to make sure that you have a mixture of hype content, solution content, entertaining content, as well as connection content. They each serve a different purpose. Now, I do have a video that breaks these type of content down, so I'll link it on the screen. But once you have each of these different types of content, you need to blend it in a way that strategically makes sense. And so I actually have a full pre-filled content calendar that I give my students inside of ULP. You want to create something similar to this so that it guides you towards creating some really dope content for your launch. Now, if you do grab the 6-figure launch planner, I have the structure for you so that you can plug in your content pillars, you can plug in the goal for each content piece, and you can map out your content. But if you want a pre-filled calendar so you could just plug and play, then you definitely want to join the Ultimate Launch Program, because that's where you'll get my pre-filled templates that you just literally have to just run the play that I create for you. Now that you've gotten that, the second phase is we are going to sell without it feeling salesy. And here's what I mean. You're going to need to create a daily launch content plan, sales email sequences, and an influencer paid promo strategy. What I mean is each day of your launch should have a specific focus. When you're creating content, it needs to align with whatever the specific focus is. When I say sales email sequences, during your pre-launch, you have a sequence that's going to build hype up until your launch day. For your launch, which is this period where you're selling without feeling salesy, you need to have emails that you've already created that guide people to your website, that push the unique edge that you've developed, and that pushes what's unique about your products to make them think that, okay, this is it, this is what I need. And we also need to make sure that it's generating some type of urgency so that people don't just wait and say they'll get it tomorrow or next week. They want to get it right now. Then the third is an influencer or paid promo strategy. Now, influencers are so crucial, especially in today's world. If you're using a micro influencer or even a mid-tier influencer, that is golden, because these influencers have a connection with their community that you don't have to pay a mega influencer like a Cardi B or something to try to get the most traction, because these women or men have a specific connection with their audience that allows them to recommend things that their audience is going to eat up. When it comes to a paid promo strategy, this could be running ads, this could be paying media to publish something. The point is, you need to have a strategy on how you're going to balance your organic content with your paid tactics like influencers, paid promo, UGC, all the things, so that they work seamlessly together and it comes off like a full experience for your consumer. Now, of course, inside of ULP, I break all this down, but that is what you need to do, okay? And remember, you're jotting all of these things down in Coda. You're brainstorming all these things down in Coda, and then you're using your six-figure launch planner to map out these tactics, these steps, and all the things. Inside of ULP, I actually give my students a specific promotional launch timeline. You want to create one of these for your brand as well. This is, what are you doing on this day? What are you doing on day 2? What are you doing on day 3? And what is the specific purpose of each of these tactics and each of these moves that you're making? And how does it relate to your launch? You want to create a spreadsheet or create a tab in your six-figure launch planner that has these things detailed. Now, you've launched, but what comes next? That's actually the third phase. So in this phase, what you want to do is create a launch debrief report. You need to know specifically what worked and what didn't work, so that way you can rinse and repeat, or that way you can trim the fat, tweak, or amplify. And so the reason why most people will see success and then they'll flop, like the example I gave at the beginning of this video, is because they never paid attention to their data. So you have data that can help you set goals, but then you have your data that can actually help you continue to surpass those goals, okay? So we want to make sure that we do a debrief on our launch to figure out what the heck happened, right? Whether it's what the heck in a good way or what the heck in a bad way, we need to know what the heck happened. The next thing that we're going to do is create a customer follow-up and retention plan. How are we going to keep our customers engaged? How are we going to make sure that they come back? How are we going to make sure that they share with all of their friends? How are we going to make sure that this is not just a one-time fling? Baby, this is an everyday type of thing, okay? That's what we want to do. And so you want to create like a spreadsheet. When you look at your goal spreadsheet from the six-figure launch planner or the one that you create on your own, you're going to see, did I meet my goal? Did I surpass my goal? Did I fall short of my goal? And then on the six-figure launch planner, you'll notice that there's a column that I say what worked and what didn't. We want to do that for every single goal. But then when it comes to our customer retention, we want to brainstorm some ways based off of our data that we can retain those people and keep them coming back. And so inside of my program, I actually walk you through a couple of different lessons on how to interpret data, how to apply data so that way you can perform better next time, and all the things. And of course, I give you tracking templates and all of that. So if you are interested in being in that program, I'm going to have the link to book a call, because we don't just let anybody in. If you want to see if you're a good fit, and so that we can see if you're a good fit, go ahead and open up the description, and I may even put in the pinned comment. I'll put like a whole bunch of links in the pinned comment. Go ahead and book a call, because if you're like, I need the tea, I need the deep dive, I need somebody to walk me through, hold my hand, and give me the blueprint, then the Ultimate Launch Program is going to be for you. But if that's not for you, if you're not ready to invest yet or all the things, this guide walked you through all of the essentials that you need. And yes, you're gonna have to like DIY it and do it on your own, but this video should have helped you get way more clear than you were before. So before I wrap up, what's one thing that you are changing about your launch strategy after this? What's one thing? Because we are not having any more messy launches. We are not going to be overwhelmed anymore. We are going to be organized. We are going to be structured. We are going to be strategic. That is the key to having a successful launch. That is the key to having a successful brand and business, period. Okay? If you want to DIY it yourself, I'm going to link the HBU template that I was using in this video for my 6-figure launch planner. I'll also link coda.io. That's where I brain dump everything, even for my product business HBU. That's where I brain dumped everything for HBU. If you want me to coach you through this entire process, book a call and let's chat about ULP, because I can help you build your launch. We're going to do it together, literally week after week. We will work together in my program to build your launch. So book your call if you're interested, or grab your DIY products. Or if you're a real hustle babe, you're going to do both. You're going to grab the 6-figure launch planner from HBU, and you're going to book your call for the Ultimate Launch Program, because I know that you are an ambitious girly who are serious about achieving your goals. Now, real quick, make sure that you comment down below what was your main takeaway from this video. And if you made it to the end of this video, period, comment "my launch will be bomb." I know that's a full phrase, but comment "my launch will be bomb" to show me that you made it to the end of this video and that, hello, your launch will be bomb. If you're not subscribed to this channel already, hit the subscription button. What are you doing? Give this video a thumbs up, and please share it with somebody that you know it can help. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Brand Hustler, and engage on those platforms. More specifically, turn your notifications on those platforms so that when I post, you can go and comment and share and do all the things. As always, I will see you in the next one. Bye, Hustle Babes. Peace.